Rich, I just thought we were behind we were done with technical issues. I thought I had everything kind of solved, but I'm going to have to go a little bit louder tonight, a little bit. I'm going through my camera, and I don't have my headphones, so I'm sorry about that. We'll have to make
it. It is what it is, my friend.
Welcome to Generation Movie on a Monday night. Thank you for joining us. My name is JW Colwell. I am, of course, joined by my host in crime, Rich Drees, and my other half now. She's here a lot now. She's always showing up. It's amazing. I'm impressed. I'm impressed and happy about it. It's consistent. Natasha,
else to do right now.
What was that? Thanks. That's perfect. That's a perfect answer to somebody who's struggling with tech issues tonight. Natasha Bogutzki, how are you doing tonight as we finish up our Christmas themed trek through motion pictures?
I'm doing great. Hosted a major Christmas party over the weekend. It was pretty packed. We expected almost 50 people. It was, oh, thanks, Ken. I just put on this old thing and the hair is still left over from Saturday. So thank you, though. I did put on lipstick.
I was gonna, but then I couldn't find the right shade. So
look, I couldn't even get the goddamn mic or camera to work, so I don't have time for lipstick. Okay, but you're doing well. You had a party, excellent. Okay, let's get some comments and then we'll talk some more. Joe Ridgely, good evening, loud and nerdy, ladies and gentlemen. Have a great last show of 2023. We're excited. I'm excited about that. We need a little bit of a break. I'm going to need to fix whatever's wrong. I have 24 hours to fix whatever's wrong. Good evening, friends. A little under the weather tonight. Unfortunately, I had interactions with many people who had COVID. Not sure how long I will watch. Can get better. Why are you having interactions with people with COVID? Those are people being mean. I worry about you, Ken. Stay healthy.
Ken, we love that you're here every week and contributing in the comments. But if you need to rest, that's fine. We understand.
Get better. Get out of here.
On the YouTube channel later. We want you happy and healthy for the holidays.
Yeah, I mean, Natasha's here, but at this point, she's here all the time, so it's fine.
No.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Sean Smithson. And then Ken writes, at least Natasha dressed for the event. Look, I'm dressed for the event. This is technically a Christmas movie. Well, this one isn't. But the one after it is a Christmas movie, so I'm close.
Hey, hang on. I can dress even more for the event. I was going to save this for later, but...
She's showing us up, Rich.
I know.
She's showing us up.
Ta-da!
Look, I tried to find a... You know what? I tried to find a Christmas hat today. I couldn't find one. Santa. But I do want to say, if you enjoy this show, if you enjoy Loud and Nerdy, if you enjoy anything on the Indie Escape Network, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel on the Indie Escape Network. We have a very big 2024 coming up for folks. We're going to let some stuff fly tonight about what we got coming up for 2024. Sorry, we're running a little bit late. I had tech issues. We're going to let a lot in on what's happening for 2024. We got a big phone call today from an event called HorrorCon that's happening in Daytona Beach that we're going to talk a lot about in 2024. We're excited about. I'm letting the cat out of the bag, Joe. I don't care. I'm so excited. We're so excited about it. It's a big event, and we're hopefully going to be covering it. If you also are more, using Facebook, we are on the Indie Escape Facebook page. By all means, like that. We put a lot of stuff up there. I've started to put up different things, different news stories, different events, different things going on. And in a race for power and glory, I am advised by Joe Ridgely, our master commander, somebody I would follow into a breach or a what were they called? Like the foxholes. Foxholes? No. I don't know. I would follow him into a foxhole if I had to.
Trenches.
I'm in trenches. That's the word. I'm sorry. I'm still. You know when you have tech issues and you don't know if you're going to recover or not, and it just kind of
it throws you for a loop.
It throws me for a loop. But I'm advised we are getting off of Twitter, and we have got approval that starting in 2024 we're going to be on Instagram. So.
Yes!
Yeah.
We're joining the 21st century! Sorry.
It's all the 21st century.
Yeah, listen, it's all the 21st century. And Natasha, it's all because of you. We got a letter that said you were so good that we can just go to Instagram. We don't have to pass go. We don't have to collect $200.
We got a letter? With the Pony Express delivered this to us?
Let it go, Rich. Let it go. She was buying it. We didn't get a. No,
okay.
I'm a romantic at heart, which means that old or not, I love receiving a handwritten letter.
That's crazy. It's amazing. Talk away. Yeah. Woohoo for Instagram. Yeah, we're excited about all of it. So that's coming soon. We also have some more shows in the pipeline that we're working on. I have a really talented person that was in my improv class who might be coming to the network with his wife to do a movie talk show about how they view movies as a couple. And we have a couple other things. We have a couple of podcasts and things, possibly a wrestling podcast coming, possibly a Critical Role like D&D show coming. These are all intricate things that are all being talked about and discussed for 2024. But we are here tonight, and tonight starts with, I don't know, it's bad news, but it's also like we've been loath to talk about it for 3 months. So Jonathan Majors was fired by Marvel today. It's
and
a
that
bummer.
only comes in the wake. We should mention that this comes in the wake of being found guilty of 2 out of 4 accounts that he was on trial for. I agree with everybody that we talked about earlier. I don't want to talk about it that much. I will say it, of course, impacts the creative direction of the Marvel Cinematic Universe because they were gearing everything towards this villain to carry the torch for a good phase or 2, and that is not going to happen now. And they're just going to have to reload. But the thing is, I think 2024 is a reload year. So I think 2024 is a year where they put out some product, they do some things, but everything's kind of working in the background, building, and trying to build up. I feel bad in the sense that he shouldn't have assaulted someone, right? We shouldn't hit people in the 21st century, as Natasha said, and it's a bad situation. And I'm bummed. Like, I think we can, as fans of movies, we can be bummed because he was good. He was good in a lot of stuff that he was in the last 6 to 8 months, where he kind of galvanized his career a little bit, and now it's in shambles. And
it broke my heart because
don't do stupid shit.
Well, yeah.
Yes.
But I've been slowly, and I love the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I've been with it since Iron Man. I love it to pieces. But the past few films have made me go, I'm not as invested in this as I once was. I really think there is superhero fatigue out in the world. Jonathan Majors was one of the few things that was kind of connected to the new phase that I was really excited about, because he was freaking good. He knew how to shade properly. His performance was fantastic across the board. You really felt like he could do this character justice. All the variations of this character.
Yeah, I think
it forces me even more into a corner of the fact that I just don't. Well, with him, I definitely don't have interest anymore.
Yeah, and I mean,
go ahead. Rich.
No, I was gonna say, we've brought this up a little bit before, and as always, we're of the opinion that how this affects the MCU is a distant second to,
assaulting somebody.
Absolutely. I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying that.
No. I think
not done stupid shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Don't do stupid shit. Is the mantra.
I think the only upside for Marvel for this, with all of that said, is that we are taking that gap year to regroup, redo everything. They had 5 months of work stoppage between the writers and the actors strike, where Marvel probably sat around and did a lot of internal discussions. Kevin Feige probably sat around with a lot of people, probably talked with a lot of heads up the ladder at Disney about what are our contingency plans here. And hopefully, they'll be, so they know what they're going to be doing.
And for him as an actor, people can certainly come back from these horrific things. You can learn from your mistakes, serve a debt to society, fix whatever happened to any of the women that are involved in any of the other allegations, right? Those are all just allegations at this point. And you can come back. Hollywood is very forgiving, especially with somebody as talented as he is.
Mm-hmm. And I would love to see him. Yeah, get some help. Do what he needs to do. Do the work. Become a better person. Show that he's become a better person. And I would welcome seeing his stuff again. I'm disappointed because that really threw a release from Sundance that he was in, Magazine Dreams, that I heard a lot about. I have not had a chance to see it, and I was it kept being delayed because of these problems, and that affects all the other people who worked on that movie too.
Well, and I don't think we're ever going to see that movie because of what that movie's about. That movie's about somebody who looks fine on the outside and has rage issues. And so this is going to be one of those weird anti-Kismet feelings where, the pieces come together in the wrong ways. And it's going to be it's going to be a movie non grata because it hits a little too close to home. He's a super talented guy. I think he can come back. He has to do all of it right going forward. He will get no third chance. He'll get a second chance maybe, but don't screw it up. Don't do stupid shit. Mm-hmm. Make amends, fix things, fix yourself, and come back. Good luck with somebody. Yes, Natasha in the back row.
Hollywood may be forgiving, but people are not, particularly since the Me Too movement. Several years ago, Casey Affleck won Best Actor for Manchester by the Sea. Hollywood was forgiving. The public was not. And haven't seen him really do anything since. But he's Martin Oppenheimer. Very small role.
But I understand what you're saying. I think Affleck, though again, I don't want to get into all of like these weird allegations and things where people do bad shit. Talent will get you so far, and just fix yourself. Find whatever was going wrong in your head. There's so many places where you can get help. Find help and get help. He might have a year to think about it by himself in a block. So I like, first thing is anybody who's been hurt by him. Second thing is, as a fan, you're disappointed because he was really good. He was also really good in Creed. He was like, he had a run going where he's Loki, Creed, Ant-Man, where he's the best thing in a bunch of movies. And now it's like, and the testimony wasn't great. So it's like, I wish him well. I wish her well. I wish everybody who's been impacted by him better. And, don't do stupid shit. Don't do stupid shit. Be a good person. Be nice. Okay, so let's see. Joe Ridgely, woohoo for Instagram. JW, the program director. Yes. Working on shows. Joe's got me working. Superhero fatigue. I like that better than oversaturated market. I'm going to be honest. It's going to be superhero fatigue until somebody comes back or they make a movie that has to be seen. Like, and I think Joe is onto something down here. Ken writes, fuck around and find out. Yeah, we're in that phase of society right now. Just don't be a bad person.
I mean, yes, but with the whole superhero fatigue, that is, and Rich and I have had this conversation many times. A lot of people I talk to, it's not worth it to them anymore to take their family to go see a Marvel superhero film when they can wait less than 45 days and they can buy it.
I'll give you an example. Is superhero fatigue, just a question. Mm-hmm. Superhero fatigue going to come up at all when we talk about Deadpool 3?
Probably not.
I think Deadpool is the exception to the rule.
I'll give you another one. Ready? Superhero fatigue going to come up if there's a new Spider-Man movie?
Yes.
Like an actual Spider-Man movie.
What do you
mean? Madam Web. Not Madam Web. Like an actual... Not Kraven the Hunter. An actual Spider-Man movie, either with any of the three of them. Like, I'm going to be honest with you. Like, if they come and say, hey, we're going to have a Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie, nobody's going to talk about fatigue.
They'll go see it because they're curious, and then they'll bitch about how badly Marvel screwed them up by not doing them the way Sam Raimi did.
No Way Home didn't deal with that at all. That's what I'm saying. Like,
Home was a fucking fan service film. We got all three back. We were able to close off.
Yes, it was a moment. What's happened with the MCU? It's not superhero fatigue. It's we've gotten to the point where they are not making event epic films right now. Avengers Endgame, Avengers Infinity War, and No Way Home are like, they're so massive.
It's not just Marvel. It's DC.
Oh, no. But DC's bottomed out because DC's... Rich and I have talked about this. DC's bottomed out because DC's DC. DC's done everything in their power to be DC. We're going to fuck up everything.
The way I see it... Wait, hang on. Let me finish, please.
Go ahead.
The way I see it is every genre has its day. Noirs were the 30s. Then we got into... you had musicals of the 50s, you had the westerns of the 60s, the 70s, you got into some cop films and sci-fi, and then 80s was a lot more sci-fi and testosterone action-fueled, films and slasher movies. Every genre has its day. And then it disappears for a little while, and then it comes back. The problem that Marvel and DC have is that's really all they are standing on. That's their only leg. Once it gets kicked out from underneath them, it doesn't matter how much material that they have to work with. Sooner or later, people are going to leave because they're exhausted.
I think it's an interesting thing. Slasher films are remarkably viable every year. They never go away.
I'm not saying that it's not a big thing.
You're talking about a heyday. You're talking about a heyday or something?
Yes, everyone has its heyday. And then sooner or later, you have people who go, I want to reinvent this. I want to reinvent the Western by doing Unforgiven. I want to reinvent a noir film by doing Blade Runner. Let's mix it with sci-fi. Or let's pay homage by doing LA Confidential. Or you have Drive, which is like a little more gritty, kind of more crime-based. Like everything has its heyday. Sooner or later, it all comes back.
I think
hiatus.
I got you. I think the superhero fatigue argument, I think it's all fine and dandy until something pops up that everyone wants to see. And that's what the problem
is. Marvel movies. I haven't seen.
But that's what I'm saying to you though. It's not that you're fatigued. It's that the product isn't what it used to be. And the reason it isn't what it used to be is the stories that they told in the last 4 years were so goddamn massive that now everything pales in comparison to it. It's not fatigue.
Comparison. I just don't care anymore.
Well, that's not fatigue though. Fatigue is I'm being withered because it's too much.
It is.
That's not what it is. No, that's not what it is. It's because it's not good. Like it's because it's not an epic storytelling. And that's
much.
I think we get to July and we have a $500 million movie.
It's not, it's too quick, it's too much, and the quality is not as good. Give me one film every 3 years that is actually good and you will keep my attention. You pile me with 3 in a year that are mediocre, and yeah, I get exhausted. Show me something new.
I got you. I understand. I just think fatigue, I think, is an overrated. I just think it's what everybody says, oh, well, superhero fatigue. And I just look at it and I go,
Deadpool will be fine because it's been 4 years almost since the last Deadpool movie.
Deadpool will be fine because it's an event movie. Hugh Jackman is coming back. It's an event.
That's the reason. That is the one reason I'm not going to see it.
Wait a second. You're saying Jackman is not part of the reason to go see the Deadpool movie?
Would you like to explain this?
Hmm?
Would you like to explain the argument of why I said I really don't care that Jackman's coming back? And why I really don't want him coming
back? That's insane talk.
I'm trying to remember exactly how you phrased it, mostly because of Logan gave him a good character closing.
Bingo.
Oh, it's a fantastic closing. Perfect. Yeah. It's a great movie. Logan's one of the best superhero movies that nobody talks about.
Agreed.
It's fantastic.
You gave me closure. I grieved him.
Yes, and now we get to celebrate him again. I can't fucking wait. I mean, that's where we're at. Like, I understand what you're saying. I think it's the fatigue thing is interesting. Anyway, okay. Comments. Let's see. Marvel's afraid of James Gunn right now. Gunn's making some very solid decisions. That's true. Well said, Joe. Heard Andrew Garfield might be open to another movie. That's what I'm saying. Like, I think Garfield would. But are you sad that Garfield's going to do another Spider-Man movie, or sad that he's not going to do like something as good as Tick Tick Boom? Is that where we're at? Because that could be what it is.
I liked what they did with him in No Way Home. They closed off all the holes that I needed. I don't need to see any more of his character.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, so this is the last comment, and we'll start. We have a couple announcements from Rich. They need to do more TV comic movies and indie comic movies. I love the Sandman Netflix series. They try, Joe.
Yes, that's great.
They try. I would also say, like, for all the talk of superhero fatigue, the Batman did pretty well.
Because
you know
what I mean? Like,
right, but it's not. Then it's not fatigue. It's not fatigue if something is fresh. That's what I'm saying. Like, the things that have all hit because there's a greatness to them. And when you decide to put something else out that isn't it, yes, there's a quality issue, but it's not fatigue.
Fatigue it can't be a bit too much.
Fatigue is wave after wave after wave. it's more of a quality issue. It's more of like not good enough.
Rich is enjoying the hell out of this, and he's just like,
I'm just hanging back here.
He's hanging back. He's fought with both of us. Anyway, actually,
let's just agree to disagree and move on this.
Let's do that. I wish everybody involved with the situation better mental health and everything. And Rich, what's going on? What's going on with the Film Critics Circle, Rich, that you're part of in Philadelphia?
Before we hit that, there was another thing that I didn't bring up when we had our quick thing beforehand. Before we started here, I did want to kind of call attention to the passing of Kenpachiro Satsuma this past weekend. If you don't know who he is, you probably know his work. He is the second of the Godzilla suit actors. He was working for Toho. His first acting job in the Godzilla franchise was actually as he was the guy in the Hedorah costume for Godzilla versus Hedorah, or Godzilla versus the Smog Monster, as it's known here in the U.S. Great guy. I met him once years ago at a show. He was very open to the U.S. fans for a guy who didn't speak a lick of English, I guess. But it's sad to see him go. He gave so much to the genre. So yeah, just wanted to note his passing for everybody before we move on to this weekend. We here at the Philadelphia Film Critics Circle announced our Best of the Year awards. And we announced Film of the Year based on our voting as Poor Things, the Yorgos Lanthimos film that stars Emma Stone. In fact, Poor Things won 4 of our awards, including Best Picture, Best Director for Yorgos Lanthimos, Best Actress for Emma Stone, and Best Screenplay. Oppenheimer did very well as well. It got Best Actor for Cillian Murphy, Best Supporting Actor.
You did it again.
Cillian Murphy.
Thank you.
Our Cheesesteak Award went to Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1. Just looking at the list here, one of the other notable things was Best Foreign Film and Best Animated Film went to the same movie, and that was Miyazaki's The Boy and the Heron. And if you haven't seen this movie, get out to a theater and see it. It's absolutely wonderful. Miyazaki keeps saying every new movie he makes is going to be his last one. And he's been doing that for a couple of movies now. But doesn't matter. Keep going to see him as long as he's making them, because he's a master. He's a master at this. And if you want to read all of the winners of the Philadelphia Film Critics Circle's annual awards, you can just pop over to philafcc.org, and that's our website. You can see all that there.
JW.
Yes.
Is it possible that he is just too professional for our little group?
No. Professional is he's what makes our group solid. So I'm happy for him, and I think it was a nice read. Not going to get any fights from me when Rich wants to throw his professional hat dangling around the ring like a press guy. So that's interesting. I do like the Cheesesteak Award. I think it's interesting that
we've had the Cheesesteak Award for 2 years, and in these 2 years, it's both gone to a Tom Cruise film. Yeah.
What is the Cheesesteak Award?
It's a cheesesteak award. I mean,
it's sponsored by Phillips Cheesesteaks in South Philly, who are very nice enough to sponsor the award, and pretty much kind of give us a little cash to help sustain the Film Critics Circle's website and things like that. And since they have the naming rights to our Cheesesteak Award, the Cheesesteak Award is basically it's a movie that It's maybe not the best thing for you, but it's darn good and delicious and fun.
Oh, okay. Thank you. What do you
I was taking it more as a movie you would get, that you would get at Blockbuster on a Friday night and go home and eat with a cheesesteak. Is what I was going with it, but I think that might be good too. Well, that's good. I think it's interesting. I think Poor Things is opening here on Friday, so I'll probably see it Thursday. So I'm looking forward to it.
And the runner-up for this year's Cheesesteak Award was Godzilla -1. So,
which I just saw this afternoon. And guys, if you haven't seen this movie, I'm not the biggest Godzilla fan in the world. I'm kind of hot and cold on it. Depends on the movie. This is the best one I've ever seen. Get your ass to the cinema. What the hell are you still sitting, watching, doing us? Go to the cinema.
They're watching us, so we have a show. So shh. Go see it tomorrow. Anyway, okay. Tonight ends our Christmas foray. We end with this movie, folks. This holiday.
Oh my God! I know him.
This holiday, Ferrell, discover your inner elf. So I think, when talking this movie, we always start with production. We always look at how things get made, why things get made, how they're put together, right? And the interesting thing about this movie is Favreau shot it fast. It's a fast shoot. They do a lot of improv, like they don't necessarily follow every piece of the script. Like they start in December, they finish in March. They use Vancouver as a side for New York, but they did shoot a lot in New York. And British Columbia. And the most interesting aspect of the production here is there's no visual effects when Buddy is in the North Pole. Everything with the elves, Favreau shoots classically with a forced perspective that is, it's kind of a marvel for a film in 2003. It's celebrating its 20th anniversary this year. A film in 2003 to be using forced perspectives, but it adds to the, you know what I mean? Like it adds to the fun.
You did just have Peter Jackson using it all over the place in Lord of the Rings in 2001, 2, and 3. So, I wouldn't say it's that revolutionary of Favreau, but, in fact, it's New Line Cinema. So, they're both kind of like, hey, they're kind of.
Let's not do any visual effects. Now that you've ruined that statement, Rich, just go ahead. Go on with it. I think it's original. I think it's original to do it in a holiday movie. Like, I think when you're trying to save money on like a Lord of the Rings movie, yeah, you do what you can. But like this movie, the budget isn't that high. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like they could have spent more on this movie. As we were talking, one of the things that we talked about last week, the production budget of Scrooge in 88 was, or 89, whatever year it was $32 million. Production budget of this movie in 2003 is $32 million, which is weird that you have two Christmas movies with the exact same budget, all those years apart. But I think, a lot of the movie is improv. So there's a whole production side of it where they just left the camera on for when Will Ferrell was, kind of whatever. There's no part of the script that also deals with the Zoey Deschenel character singing. Once she got to set, they figured out that she could sing. They started adding pieces, and they bought the rights to certain music so that they could do "Baby It's Cold Outside." All because Favreau discovered on the set that she was a pretty damn good singer, which is great. If you're on a set of a movie and it's going well, and you find out somebody's like whatever, and they go out and they buy the rights to a song so that you can sing it, that's got to feel like you're $1 million, right? That you matter. And that's one of the things about the production of this movie. Everybody's happy. Everybody seems happy to be there. Even James Caan, who's notoriously not happy a lot. It appears to be in a happy mood. So Favreau bubbles things along. Now, Favreau at this point is doing fine, by the way. Like, Favreau doesn't need the work. He's actually getting ready to, do some other things, and I think the development of this particular thing, original Buddy the Elves, initially was supposed to be Chris Farley, Jim Carrey. I don't know how they would have done.
Jim Carrey has a similar energy level to Will Ferrell, but I still think this would be a very different movie.
I think the Jim Carrey energy level is wonky compared to Ferrell in this. Mm-hmm. Ferrell has the potential to be Jim Carrey wonky, but this is more of a good-natured.
I feel like he comes right up to that line, but doesn't step over it.
Farley would have, Farley is one of those.
Farley, the line would have been all the way back there in the rearview mirror.
Yeah, but Farley would have been an interesting Buddy the Elf. There's no, we can fight about whether Farley was talented, all those other things, but Farley and Ferrell, talent.
I would have feared for Bob Newhart's Fragile Life if.
I think they would have found a different forced perspective for that. Just saying. But I think Farley, when you look at the actors on this list, Farley would have been an interesting Buddy the Elf because of all the movies that Farley made, the ones where he's sweet-natured and kind of simple are the one, Tommy Boy, and they're the ones that Buddy resembles. Ferrell is playing a version of a child, and many of the characters that Farley played in his life were children. So there's Carrie, I don't know that would have worked. I think Carrie would have been too adult. The wonkiness would have been too adult.
Yeah.
I think that Farley could have done that. Farley could have done a lot of stuff, if we hadn't lost him. But I think that's one of the interesting casting choices, right? The idea that, Ferrell comes aboard. Gary Shandling was originally offered the role of Walter Hobbs. How fucking great would that have been?
I don't know. Gary Shandling. I love Gary Shandling.
Well, I think
Larry Sanders Show is one of the premier comedic achievements of the 20th century.
I think he was playing serious at the end, though, so I think it ends up that the casting is perfect, right? James Caan's perfect. Mary Steenburgen is perfect.
It's kind of pointless to argue what anybody else would be in this movie because I think it would be lesser. I don't think, they got everything exactly right here.
No, I agree. I tend to agree with that. It's always fun to look at things though. And like I said, Gary Shandling's an interesting name that comes up. And I think, for the most part, when Ferrell kind of makes it his own, they make the decision to do the Rankin Bass, homage. They make the decision to change the script a little bit to give him.
Yeah, I don't know who he is.
Rankin Bass?
No, I know Rankin Bass. I don't know who Gary Shandling is, and I just Googled him.
Oh.
Wow. That's a blind spot. That's an epic blind spot for you.
That being said, James Caan has
Mr. Cotton. Go ahead. What'd you say?
James Caan has the star power.
Oh, yeah. That's fair. No, that's James Caan definitely has a star power. I think.
And it allows.
At some point, I'm going to say this to you with all due respect. At some point, you need to watch some Gary Shandling stuff just to see the level of genius, a comedic genius that he was.
He is one of my favorite stand-ups from the 80s.
I kind of like, though, that it was allowing James Caan to kind of stretch a muscle he doesn't often get to play with.
Oh, true.
That's true. No, like I said, Rich said the perfect thing. The casting is perfect.
It is.
Again, we do when there's no great production stories, it's always good to look at who could have been in the roles of things. Rich and I talk about this all the time. Usually, if we don't have a good production fight, like a good Deborah Winger, Shirley MacLaine scrap. It's always fun to look at who might have played who. But the production on this is fast. Production moves fast.
Sorry, I had to think about that for a second.
What was that?
Terms of endearment.
Yeah, they hated each other.
Yeah, I know. But I got that reference.
The stuff of legend. Oh, okay. Thank you. She was being kind to me. That's nice.
It is.
I know you were.
It's a Christmas miracle.
It's a Christmas miracle. Oh my God. Okay. Rich has an amazing professional hat. He does. He really does. Cheesesteak sounds good about now. Well, it can if you're sick. Yeah, cheesesteak might make you phlegmy. So just do something good and like have some soup. Yeah, it does. Laugh out loud. Sean, Jim Carrey laugh. Alrighty, then I know him. Smithson Creations Handcrafted Woodworking. We appreciate you joining us, Sean. It was pretty cool seeing Ralphie from A Christmas Story in this. Well, that's an interesting little side note as well, because Peter Billingsley plays a big part in a lot of Favreau stuff. It kind of somebody that kind of bounces things off. He's also Joe. I don't know. I know Rich knows this. I'm sure Natasha knows this. Peter Billingsley is also in Iron Man, and he's also in Spider-Man. So he's part of the MCU, but so the Favreau connection is very strong with Ralphie from A Christmas Story. Let's see. Sean writes.
Oh, by the way, Ken, very quick tangent. One sentence. You think a cheesesteak sounds good right now? Try cheesesteak egg rolls. I had them last night. They were amazing.
Okay. We need a sponsor, apparently. She didn't grow up when the Fox Network came out. Gary is gold. Yeah, Shandling was, oh my God. But production goes pretty smoothly. It's a very quick.
Yeah. Two things about the production I noticed when I was rewatching it this time. First of all, the apartment building where they live, as we see James Caan exit, that's an apartment building in New York that's probably pretty well known for strange and supernatural occurrences. That's 55 Central Park West, which was the exterior used in Ghostbusters for Dan Barrett's apartment.
Yeah, it's lots of bad things happen at Central Park West.
They shoot from across the street from the Central Park so you can see it, and then they shoot, from the side as he comes out the door. And I was like, oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. And second, when Santa is trying to get the sleigh going and they, almost hit the fountain and go up over the walkway, and there's a bum sleeping on the bench there that they wake up. Do you know who that is?
I was looking at him.
This is kind of a weird deep cut, kind of a folkloric.
That's what we're good at, Rich.
Folkloric New York figure. His name was Craig Castaldo, but he was commonly known as Radio Man. He was a homeless guy who often hung around location sets in New York City, would ride his bike around. He had in his bike basket like these little pocket knives that he would sell to the crew for like a couple of bucks. They knew it was they were crappy knives, but they just kind of gave him the money, so he felt like he was earning some money. And it got to a point, and I'm not sure. I think it started with Robin Williams when they were shooting The Fisher King in New York, where he started to get little cameos in movies. And Robin Williams has talked about him on stage, has talked about Radio Man on stage. And I remember him being talked about on Howard Stern. And it got to the point where he was kind of known. He kind of knew where sets were. In the mid-90s, he had a phone line set up where you could call in, and he would say, "Hey, it's Radio Man."
This may be the deepest cut we've ever done on the show.
And this show is shooting here. This show is shooting here, and this show is shooting here on these dates. I would call, like in the 90s, if I was going into Manhattan, I had the Radio Man phone number. I would call in, and that's how I was able to stalk some sets back in the day and see, like, you know, some shooting here and there.
This is amazing. This is
like I said, he was a guest on Stern, and apparently, just look at of course he has an IMDb. I mean, my goodness, if I have one. And I mean, he's been seen as recently as in a movie as recently as The Irishman from 2019. So that's I was like, oh shit, Radio Man, I forgot he was in here. You know, it kind of made me, you know, happy to see him. It's like one of those weird little colorful New York figures that most people don't know about, but once you hear their story, you're like, oh, that's interesting. That's cute. That's nice. You know, and you're like, oh, so.
Well, okay. So that's a deep cut. That's a deep cut. How about the deeper?
By the way, I didn't recognize him.
How about a deeper cut?
That is horrifying to me.
How about Ray Harryhausen as the voice of the polar bear cub? So I mean,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's some really interesting casting choices. You know, we get Andy Richter, we get Kyle Gass, of course, of Tenacious D. We get Amy Sedaris. So there's
Tenacious D.
What was that?
I didn't say Tenacious D. I said we get Kyle Gass of Tenacious D. Yes.
Or is he better known to everybody else? Not Jack Black.
Not Jack Black. Kyle Gass.
The other guy.
Artie Lang is the fake Santa. You know, and you know, Favreau.
Artie Lang, another Stern Show connection there.
So, but what was that?
Eugene.
He was one of the two writers that were pitching stuff.
He's one of the two writers. He poached
alongside Andy Richter,
and of course Peter Dinklage. The supporting cast is amazing, but it's all up and comers and people that were really great at comedy. So every one of those scenes, the scenes that were, you know, some of my favorite scenes in this movie are Sedaris and Will Ferrell, because Sedaris is her own brand of kitsch,
weird,
crazy. And she just like your outfit's so cute, you know, just like, don't you look like a bug, you know, like just the shit she says.
I have a feeling her character is basically her character from Strangers with Candy, but you know, kind of grown up just about a year and a half.
Yeah. Okay. So comments. I'll have to look for them. The egg rolls, I think. Too cool, Rich. Smith. Sean writes. So I had a phone like AMC Theater started movie times long ago. Yes.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I have to get everyone on the IMDb. My vacations are Friday. Don't back to work till the 2nd. Then I'll get everyone on it. Sorry. That means Natasha gets an IMDb credit. What?
Another one I can add. Yes.
Yes. Okay. So let's talk about the next most important thing for this movie. Shit, I just lost it. Box office. I'm sorry. Everything's going fine. So one of the most interesting things about this movie is the box office. And if you look at it and you compare it to other movies that are considered huge hits, and the one that because again, it came up this week about what we're picking to do, right? Somebody asked me why we didn't do National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. And I'm like, we just didn't do it. It is what it is. But people really love that movie. But that movie's worldwide box office was $72 million. This movie's box office in 2003 is $224 million. An astounding sum of money. And if you look at it and you do the inflation, and this is where it gets really fun, folks, the inflation for this movie puts it over $300 million. That's not a small amount of chump change. Like that's, it grosses $31 million its opening weekend. That only ends up becoming, let's see, 79% of its domestic box office gross. Production budget's only $32 million. It starts in 3,300 theaters. and eventually toppers out just under 3,400 theaters. It plays an average of 9 weeks in theaters, and it has a pretty good legs. It also is the rare film, and this is an interesting thing box office wise. It lost its opening weekend. It got crushed by The Matrix Reloaded.
I was there the opening weekend for Matrix Reloaded.
And it came back in its second weekend to take first place from The Matrix Reloaded, which cratered, and it beat Master and Commander, which opened the following weekend.
And I was there for that one too. I didn't see Elf in the cinema.
What?
I didn't see Elf in the cinema.
You call yourself a Christmas maven?
I was at Matrix and Master and Commander.
But I think that's really interesting. That's some heavy hitting movies. You had a Ridley Scott movie with Russell Crowe. You had a sequel to a movie that who knew we didn't actually need a sequel to at the time. I mean,
there are parts about it I like. The highway chase is really good. The Zion dance.
We didn't need a sequel. Yeah, we didn't need a sequel. We didn't need 2 movies. We just needed one. The perfect ending. It's one of those perfect ending movies that we don't need a sequel.
I agree, but I still enjoy it.
So this movie is one of the rare films that not only lost its opening weekend, lost its opening weekend, and came back to be number 1 the following weekend. So that just tells you word of mouth is where we're at with this movie. Critical response now and then is an interesting place as well, because this movie has started to become one of the foundational 21st century Christmas classics, is where we're at. This movie is with a bunch of movies that are from the 80s that are kind of like still kind of on their last legs, right? You know, the 24 hours of a Christmas Story eventually will come to an end in my lifetime. And then at some point, maybe there'll be a 24-hour showing of Elf or whatever is going to happen. But this movie, the critical response and what we get is really interesting, because I think Christmas movies are something particular. And what I've started to notice is the last few weeks on Rotten Tomatoes, which is an aggregate site that we use, not necessarily for any particular reason, tomato meter for all these Christmas movies are in the 70s to 80s. And then the audience scores are in the 70s to 80s. Elf is at 86%, which is remarkably high for critics, 79% for the audience. And what that tells me when you're looking at it, Christmas movies are a hard sell, right? Because Christmas movies have to get over the schmaltz of being a Christmas movie, and they have to actually earn their heartstrings. They actually have to earn plucking your heart, right?
There has to be something universal to them that makes them timeless in a way that makes them hard.
And critics are hard on them. So when you try to make a Christmas classic, you can't just try to make it. It's got to be there, and it's got to be something set, and it has to kind of live on its own. This is one of those movies where, you know, you're not going to see 100%. It's not going to be like all the way through for everybody. Somebody's going to find something wrong with it. But I think it's because, Rich, do you think that's an interesting concept? The idea that all these Christmas movies, no matter how good they are, Rich, they come up in aggregate sites in the 80s. That means there's 14% somewhere where people are just so like, I don't want to give in to the, do you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to give in to the schmaltz. And inherent to making a great Christmas movie, you need the schmaltz. You need it.
You need a certain level. I don't think it's that Christmas movies are a hard sell. It's just bad Christmas movies may be a hard sell. Remember, it's not what a movie is about. It's how the movie goes about it. I believe I'm correctly quoting Roger Ebert on this, or to put it another way, science fiction writer Ted Sturgeon, Sturgeon's Law, 90% of everything is crap. So yeah, I could see where, there are probably some reasons why a Christmas movie might be a hard sell for some people. The same way we're just seeing now in Variety this past week, an article about how musicals are a hard sell right now. So things like Mean Girls or Wonka or The Color Purple are being marketed, and they're soft pedaling or totally obscuring even the idea that those three movies are musicals.
Oh, it's amazing. So, it's incredible. It's incredible that Wonka's a closet musical that grossed $39 million this past weekend.
Mm-hmm. It's hard to think somebody would think a Wonka movie would not be a musical.
Would not have music in it. Some way,
so I don't know why you would try to hide the fact that it was. I don't
know if you know this. There's a jagoff running Warner Brothers right now.
Oh, he's kind of an idiot. I had heard whispers, but nothing.
He's kind of a moron. He's kind of a full blown class 1 free roaming vapor. He's top of the list of just people. If you and I had somebody we could pay to punch in the face, that would be the guy for us right now. He is just
20 right now.
I was going to say 30.
$20 bill right now.
But the critical response, like Roger Ebert had one of the great lines about his review of this movie. It's a great response. He gave it 3 out of 4 stars, that's pretty good for Roger. It's one of those rare Christmas comedies that has a heart, a brain, and a wicked sense of humor, and it charms the socks right off of the mantelpiece. That's fantastic writing for a critic. That's the kind of shit you dream about.
Wait a minute, you and I go critic. What kind of backhanded compliment is that?
No, I didn't mean it backhandedly. I think it's one of those things that you dream about, like the kind of writing that Ebert every once in a while. His prose is sometimes as good as the movies he's reviewing. You know what I mean? Like charm the socks right off the better.
Sometimes even better.
But this movie got universal praise. There wasn't a lot of people who hated it. And it started to kind of grow into this. It's kind of started to grow into this behemoth where it's on a lot of lists. It's angling to be, this generation's It's a Wonderful Life. Natasha, do you still have your hand raised, or did you put your hand down because we're not calling on you?
I kept putting it down because I didn't want to look like an idiot, and you guys just kept talking.
Well, I mean, you already raised your hand, so that time has passed.
Well, Ken makes a really good point in our comment where he says, for me, Will Ferrell is a hard pill to swallow. Didn't like Elf when it came out, but it has grown on me, and I do watch it when it's on. I 100% agree with this because as a child, I did blind bought the VHS. Blind
spot?
No, blind bought.
Blind bought.
Yeah. The film on VHS when it
came blind bought. I was like, is she talking about a robot that I don't know about?
No.
She's so young. She's so young. We're so old, Rich. Anyway, go ahead.
Anyway, I blind bought the VHS when it came out in early 2004, opened it up, stuck it in, and I hated this movie with a fiery fucking passion that, Jesus Christ, it needed to be thrown into like the 6th ring of hell.
Really?
I hated it. It was bad to me. I didn't find it charming. I found it cringy, annoying, pushy. And there was very rare moments in this movie where I was going, I really love this. Very fucking rare. Then years later, I came back to it. And as I was watching it, now with a greater appreciation of Will Ferrell's talents, comedy and not comedy, I started to realize something about this movie. He does so much and shows so much, but through the eyes of a child.
Yeah, it's wonder. It's all wonder. It's all whimsy. It's all magic.
But I was living in the era of elves.
Cynicism. Yeah, cynicism.
Napoleon Dynamite and The Office. Cringe humor was everywhere, and it was not for me. I absolutely despise The Office to this day. But that being said,
don't you have to turn in your NEPA card if you say things like that? Like, don't you have to turn in your NEPA card if you make a statement that you don't like The Office? Won't Dwight Schrute come right to your house? How does that work?
I still go to Cooper's on the regular. I think that has covered.
I think the Ferrell hard to swallow thing has it's an after the fact thing for me. Will Ferrell's hard to swallow when he doesn't have anybody, or when he doesn't have a through line with a character. When he's kind of just there making shit up, like.
I feel the same way about
far if they're not reined in.
I feel the same way about Jack Black, and I've said this before, that I think he's great in High Fidelity, but you see him in something like Orange County where he's just like totally over the top, and you want to just smack him in the back of the head with a frying pan to calm him down.
And then he shows up. Then he shows up in King Kong, and you're like, I really like him in King Kong.
Fight you on this. I actually like him in King Kong.
No, that's what I'm saying. Then he shows up in King Kong, and you're like, I kind of like him in this role as Denim.
And then he does something nice like The Holiday as well.
I think Ferrell is better in small doses, but I also think part of the reason he can do the improv in this movie is because Favreau's got a healthy hand on the reins. He knows what he's doing with his show pony. And then also I think the supporting cast, right, and the supporting cast is so good that even when he's in over his head, like there are moments when his over the top childishness, Zoey Deschenel flashes the smile, and you're like, you as an audience member, you're like, well, she doesn't hate him, so I shouldn't hate him. You know what I mean? Like the idea that, could it be,
for him, I think a little too quickly.
She does.
She's like, I don't like you. Go away. Okay, let's go for lunch. It feels really fast to me. But that's just an experience needed for the script. It's 130. It's an hour and 30.
That's one of the things that it's one of those rare movies that knows exactly where it wants to get to. Like, there's
wait.
Yeah, it can't wait. There's an experience. Like, it's one date. She kisses him on the ice. They don't have a second date, and then she's moving in with him and Papa Elf. You know what I mean? Like, it's very fast. But I don't mind that. I was watching it tonight, and I don't mind how quick it is. The expediency actually works in its favor, because the interesting thing about the character is that whatever situation you drop him into, he survives. He not only survives, but he thrives. So it's one of those things, like the mailroom sequence to me
is amazing. As I got older,
it's amazing, but it's one of those sequences that where you don't necessarily remember it from the movie, but when it's happening when you're rewatching it, and you're like, oh, the idea that everybody, like, I love the whole reaction. It's like, it's kind of like Santa's workshop, except it smells like mushrooms, and everybody seems to want to kill me. And then the guy he befriends, who's like, doing, for after jail time. It's sweet. And Ferrell, it's probably his best role. It's also probably a real interesting thing. Like, I also think, aside from the one or two moments where you have questionable, like him sneaking up on her when she's in the shower and singing Baby It's Cold Outside, there's not a lot, like, there's nothing, we can do the critical response then and now. Like, there's nothing in this movie.
Honestly, I don't have a problem with that, because that shower scene, because again, they've already established his complete childlike innocence. He has no, he's a 7-year-old, and he doesn't know any better. He doesn't know any better, so you can't read anything creepy into it. He just heard somebody singing, and he wanted to go and listen to them.
Sing.
And then
they do a great job. The second scene, like when she accosts him, and she's like, could it have anything to do with the fact that I was naked? And he's like, I didn't know you were naked. And he's like, and you're thinking to yourself, she was in the fucking shower, dude. And you're like, oh, I'm sorry. A child could perceive the concept of wearing shorts in a shower. We've seen that in Weird Science, Rich. Anyway,
yes.
So I just think, there's nothing bad in it. Critical response then and now. I think it's gaining momentum actually, which is interesting. I think it was well received when it came out, and now it's kind of on lists. It's on the nice list, right?
Yes.
The list where people decide what films they're going to watch every holiday season, like Die Hard, and this, and It's a Wonderful Life, and for me and you guys now, maybe The Bishop's Wife, and everybody who watches our show. They're movies that get added to the nice list, right? Movies that you have to watch when the time is right. Christmas Vacation, and for Rich and I, Scrooged, and for you, the Albert Finney Scrooge. You know what I mean? For me, the Alistair Sim Scrooge, because that's the one my dad loved, The Christmas Carol.
I'm throwing Violent Night into the ring as something now that I have to watch every year.
Violent Night is fine. It has a few years before it needs some time to blossom.
Yeah, it'll take some time to get some traction. But for me, I'm watching that one every freaking year. That's my die.
It's a solid movie. I would say, like, the ones that have kind of hit me lately, I really like Noel. I like the Netflix cartoon Klaus a lot. If you guys haven't seen it, or if people who watch the show haven't seen it, I can't recommend it highly enough. It's basically like an old-timey... Yeah, it's a Netflix cartoon. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
There's some things that are growing on me. But I'm kind of stuck in the past. Christmas Story and Scrooge and Christmas Vacation and this.
Hey, I love Meeting in St. Louis. That's the last movie I watch on Christmas Eve.
They had a bangarang Christmas in St. Louis SNL skit this weekend. It was bangarang. It was banger. It was a good sketch.
Bangarang, like you're from freaking Hook?
Yes. Rufio, baby. Rufio. Anyway. Okay, so Misty says, hi guys. Okay, do not like The Office 2. I feel like when the episode started, I can't get into the theme song, just makes me want to vomit. Okay, well now there's Office talk. But I do love Elf. Sean writes, he's a big guy, that's why he's hard to swallow. Yeah, dumb joke. Laugh out loud. Okay. Like we can just skip the entire opening theme song, we'll be fine. It's kind of funny after that. Maybe. I like The Office. What about Fat Man? Laugh out loud. I try to stay away from. I'm not gonna lie. I love my past Mel Gibson, but new Mel Gibson's hard to stomach for me. So anyway, there I said it. Fat Man's a movie where he plays Santa. It's a low budget action movie.
That's all you need to say. Mel Gibson playing Santa.
Yes.
Already got my seal of disapproval.
Well, I'm sure there's a menorah that gets trashed somewhere. Anyway, I think that this movie is gaining traction. Is a great way to put it. Hold on, what do we got? Arthur, you were like Arthur, like the classic Arthur.
No, Natasha's cat.
Oh,
Arthur.
I'm pretty confused right now.
Like I didn't remember Dudley Moore's Arthur having anything to do with Christmas. Oh, okay. Like we got the wires crossed.
This is Arthur, guys.
So legacy franchise viability. Here's an interesting thing. This is a franchise that has never gotten off the ground because Will Ferrell will not allow it to do so.
I'm fine with that.
I am super fine with it, but it's interesting what has become of that, right? So we're never going to get a sequel to Elf, but there's a musical version of Elf. There's a video game. There's animated specials. Buddy's Musical Christmas, which has Jim Parsons playing Buddy. So that's Warner Brothers Animation. So try to find it. Good luck. There's a Broadway musical based on the film. It's the legacy for this movie and the franchise. Will Ferrell is not allowed a sequel. Now, there was a sequel that was planned, right? On September 18th, 2013, somebody reported that Ferrell was interested in making a sequel to the film titled Elf 2 Buddy Saves Christmas, but Buddy already saved Christmas. So, Ferrell said that he did not want to make a sequel. So he's completely kind of nixed it. And they even got to the point where they asked James Caan. Can you imagine in the later years of his life asking James Caan, not about The Godfather, not about Thief or Misery or any of the number of great James Caan movies, but somebody's asking James Caan, hey, is there going to be an Elf sequel? Can you imagine? Can you imagine can you imagine his face?
Very un-elf-like language he would use.
Yes, it would be amazing. So you don't want to talk about Sunny on the Causeway. You want to talk about Elf, huh? I got you.
May I play devil's advocate for a second?
Sure.
Apart from money,
I thought you were devil's advocate. I thought that was
my job.
When you come on the show, I've always viewed you as devil's advocate. Go ahead.
Well, thank you. That's the nicest thing I think anyone's ever said to me on a podcast.
Really? Okay.
So apart from money,
128 hours of us on doing podcasts.
I'm going to throw the cat at you.
I'll catch him because I love him. He's a nice boy.
He's a nice cat. Okay.
So
what's your devil's advocate? Go.
Apart from money and the obvious IP involvement or, career stability of a franchise, what's the point? Apart from those three items, what is the point?
There is no point. That's why it's not a devil's advocate thing. It's a great choice that you make you make a great movie. It stands the test of time, and you choose not to make a sequel to it. I think it actually behooves. I could easily see Will Ferrell at any point when he's made movies that haven't done well, and somebody goes, "We have Elf too," and I think a lot of people in Hollywood would be kind of like, "Why haven't you done that?" And that is more power to him. I'm happy he hasn't. You know what I mean? Like Rich said, it's better not having the sequel, right? It has a chance to become an all-time Christmas classic because there will be nothing to water it down.
I am of the opinion, as an actor, as a director, as a writer, that and this has actually come up in the past. I will never return to a role that I have already done. And for those of you joining us from Northeastern Pennsylvania, you will understand when I say that three theaters will all do they'll all do Rocky Horror on Halloween weekend. All three theaters. Every year.
I could totally see you as a Columbia.
I actually auditioned and I got turned down. And honestly, I'm okay with that. I'm okay.
That's a waste of a good Columbia.
I'm okay with that because everyone and their grandmother has fucking played Columbia in this area. But there are not many people like me who have done Equus, who have done Quills. I've done things that people couldn't fucking dream about or don't have the cojones for. But they'll do Legally Blonde 6 freaking times. They'll do Fiddler on the Roof, even though they probably shouldn't, over and over and over. They will do close to death.
I don't think it has. I don't know that it has anything to do with Will Ferrell not wanting to play the same character, trying to stretch himself. I think it's more along the lines of Will Ferrell's at times kind of a brilliant guy. He's a USC grad who kind of looks at things and goes, if I were to do a sequel, it would
it has to be perfect.
It would have to be perfect. I mean, the idea that
I want to waste a year of my life trying to recapture lightning in a bottle.
And that's my point. You can't.
Mm-hmm.
If you
it's a great thing.
Give everything that you have to a single performance so much that it is beyond a doubt classic. You are the epitome of that role. No one else can fill it.
I think it's fascinating that they filled. I think it's fascinating they filled other things, that they've made the animated movie, that they've made a musical, that I was out at Target today and they had an Elf book, right? A sequel like Buddy's Christmas at the North Pole. You know what I mean? Like, I love the fact that its franchise has kind of like, it does nothing to water the movie down, and it only makes the movie grow in stature.
And that's
it's beautiful. It's a beautiful concept, and I'm all about that. And I think the legacy, I think it grows. I think it has a chance to grow.
There will never be another Will Ferrell as Elf.
Fair. And that is a great way to end. Speaking of legacy and franchise viability and things we're doing, Natasha, would you like to come back for all of January?
Oh, I thought you'd never ask.
Well, that's some of the best acting's ever been on the show. It's amazing.
I'm actually excited.
We're super excited.
That's some of the best acting I've ever seen in my life.
It was amazing. So
thinking of Team America World Police.
I'm gonna make the announcement right now. We're thrilled to have Natasha come back for January, and she may join us sporadically throughout 2024 when her schedule allows. She's a viable third wheel to us. She's like she's like one of the wheels on a big wheel. We appreciate her, and we want her back. So in honor of Natasha, and in honor of female directors and people like Natasha who take the chance, use their estrogen for good, and make great movies, we're going to have Natasha back, and we're going to do some female directed movies that have kind of caught the zeitgeist, and we're going to do them all through January. We are coming back. Let's see. I put it together. Hold on. But I still need a fucking calendar because I'm old.
You can remember this?
Well, I'm trying to. We are coming back on Monday, January 8th. And we will be with Natasha for the 8th, the 15th, the 22nd, 29th. And here is the list of films that we are doing. We will start on January 8th with this gem called, let me hold on. As I screw things up because of the...
I was going to say, you might want to list the banner, love.
Yeah, thanks. We start with this gem, American Psycho. Christian Bale, one of the modern classics that's also easily ripped off, but not really ever duplicated properly. We will then move on to Marie Antoinette, Kirsten Dunst and Sofia Coppola's really fun biopic that's unlike any other. We will then go to a movie I have never seen called The Love Witch. These are all at the behest of one Natasha Bogutzki. I've never seen it, so it's going to be a completely It's going to be a completely new experience for me. And then we will finish up with a movie I have seen. Well, I've seen everything else. I haven't seen The Love Witch. We'll finish up with One Night in Miami, which of course is the Amazon original about Malcolm X, Muhammad Ali, Jim Brown, and Sam Cooke. And we are looking forward to doing all of that in 2024.
And in case you haven't figured out what the theme here is, it's all female directors.
Female directors to start 2024, and we keep our very impressive and nimble co-host happy and amazed and whoa.
Hold on. This is payment for Porky's, by the way. And two, we're also going to be leading into Oscar nomination time. And Greta Gerwig is going to pack up a pile of them for Barbie. So it makes sense.
It makes perfect sense. Also, it also leads into, it also is a down payment on you and all of your ilk watching The Last American Virgin. So,
wait, what?
No, that's a real thing. There are people our age, Rich and I's age, and people who watch the show that would like to see you and the great cast that we assembled for the Porky Show watch The Last American Virgin.
I'd like to pull that.
Oh, no. Ask Rich. Rich will tell you. We've had plenty of people saying to us, hey, this is something we would like to see. Because that movie is a particular Schadenfreude. There's something really special about the end of that movie and the entirety of the movie. Actually, it's got a great soundtrack. It's amazingly well done. It's also, and this is a Generation Movie trivia fact. It is also on YouTube, our most watched episode. Just so I don't know why.
What?
It is our most. The episode we did of The Last American Virgin is our most watched episode.
Really?
Weird but true facts. Comments before we end this year. Football update for JW. Holy crap! What do you know about the Seahawks beat the Eagles? Oh, I'm so happy about that. I just need people to hope there are a lot of kicks. Video game, what the hell? Sean, kind of like Bad Santa 2, it was unnecessary. Yes. Nice. Natasha will be back. Natasha classes up the joint.
Oh.
See, I don't know that we need these comments. I can't miss 10 votes, laugh out loud. And then great show. Happy holidays. Have a great couple weeks off. See you in 2024 on the Indie Escape Network. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you so much, Joe.
A couple things.
Joe is the man.
Joe's really nice. He's a very nice man. Where can people find your stuff, Rich? It's the end of the year.
Woo! End of the year. Stuff. Holy cow. All of my writing is at filmbuffonline.com. Going to try to have another review or two out for some of the things coming out over the next couple of weeks as we dive into the Christmas holiday. Between Christmas and New Year, my personal best of the year list should be up, along with I know our contributing comic book film editor William Gadavasquez is working on a piece or two right now, even as we speak, because he was texting me in the middle of the show. And so we have plenty of stuff coming up for you over the next 2 weeks. I also do another podcast with my lovely and wonderful co-host, Natasha Bogutzki. And earlier today, we recorded what's going to be our second to the last episode of the year, in which we take a nice long look at the just wrapped up Netflix series, The Crown. You can find the link at FilmBuff Online or at bigpicturepod.com. FilmBuff is also on Facebook. Just search for FilmBuff Online. In addition to links to all of our stories as they get published, we also have some exclusive Facebook-only things like history posts, things like that. And I can be found on socials on Blue Sky and Twitter at FilmBuffRich.
Natasha, where can you be found?
All right. Well, hang on.
Aside from here for the month of January.
You can find me on my hair. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, IMDb. So, and yes, of course, my lovely, lovely co-host has stated that we are doing a wrap-up of all 6 seasons of The Crown, which will be dropping in the next couple of days. But what he neglected to say is that next week we're covering the 20th anniversary of Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King.
Yep. Which is just in time, because it looks like, looking ahead into January, there's a lot of theaters that are doing big day-long extended edition marathons of all 3 films. Cinemark is doing it. AMC is doing it. Independent cinemas are doing it. My favorite movie theater down in Phoenixville, the Colonial, is doing it towards the end of the month. I know tickets for their event are just about sold out. So if you're in the Philadelphia region, you want to see the extended editions in a really cool old school movie house, look up the Colonial.
Okay, you can find me online, JW the Movie Guy, at Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can also find me here every Monday night usually with Rich. Although we were off for the next 2 weeks, we will not be back to January 8th. So don't look for a lot from us in the next couple of weeks, although you'll have me drop in reviews here and there. You can also find me tomorrow night on the Indie Escape Network, Loud Nerdy. We have a great show planned for you tomorrow night. Jerry, Kyle, and myself will be doing a preview of the most anticipated movies for the first 6 months of 2024, going January to June, and just trying to figure out what are the movies that everybody's talking about. There's a lot of them, actually, to be honest. A lot of it's a front-loaded year. And then we'll see what the rest of the year kind of holds. But we'll be doing that tomorrow night. I wanted a couple things. We had a picture for Sean Smithson, who was so kind to put, but there's a picture of a deer that we put up last week that he was working on, like a woodworking thing. This is the finished product. And I just wanted to show everybody this because I didn't know. He was showing it to somebody and I put up an early version of the project, so I felt like shit afterwards. So I want to make sure we actually get it right. This is the finished product.
Oh, wow.
That's great.
And wonderfulness and amazing. And he may or may not be working on stuff for us, Generation Movie and Loud Nerdy. So we thank Sean. We wish everybody the happy holidays. And from everybody here at the Indie Escape Network, we want to wish everybody happy holidays and look for a lot of cool things coming up in 2024. Have a wonderful holiday season. Have a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year. Whatever you celebrate, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, whatever you're doing, celebrate with friends.
Saturnalia.
Find some love.
Oh, I like that. Bacchanalia.
Festivus. If you're celebrating Festivus.
For the rest of us.
Have a great, holiday. Just enjoy it. Watch some movies. Have a good time. Let's see. Final comments. Great show as always. Elger Dearmore. We're on a Loud Nerdy plaque. I still need the Generation Movie font. I'm working on it, man. I'm so bad at stuff like that. See you tomorrow night. Thank you, Joe. We'll see everybody tomorrow. I'll see everybody tomorrow night. You won't see all these people. They got other stuff to do. But thank you for joining us tonight. You have a great week. We'll see everybody at the movies.